My name is Olivia. I'm 27 years old, and this is how I took revenge on the people who told me I was too ugly to be remembered. Flashes pop like lightning across the studio. A makeup artist dusts a final touch of shimmer along my cheekbone. A stylist adjusts the collar of my designer gown as the creative director calls out poses. I sit calmly, legs crossed, in the center of it all. The cover shoot for Vogue *. But this isn't about fame. This isn't about fashion. My face is serene, but my thoughts are miles away. This is about closure. In my hands, between perfectly manicured fingers, I hold something far less glamorous. A tattered high school yearbook from a decade ago. I flip past football spreads, prom photos, and forced smiles until I land on the most likely to section. Future CEO, class, clown, most artistic. Page after page of carefully chosen faces, posed and praised. But not mine. I scan it again, though I've memorized the blankness by heart. My name isn't there. My photo is nowhere. Like I never existed. I remember the moment it happened. Senior year. I had submitted my headshot, like everyone else, along with the little quote I'd agonized over for weeks. I showed up for the photo retake day in case mine didn't come out right. I handed in everything on time. But 2 weeks before the book went to print, I got a message from the yearbook committee. I'll never forget standing outside the media lab, the fluorescent lights buzzing, as Chelsea, the editor-in-chief and reigning queen of everything beautiful and cruel, looked me up and down, then smirked. We didn't have space for everyone, she said, loud enough for her entourage to giggle. And your look didn't really fit the aesthetic we're going for. I didn't know what to say. I was frozen, my throat closing. Then she leaned in and added, "Be grateful. We're saving you from embarrassment." That day, something in me cracked, but I didn't cry. Not where they could see. I walked home that afternoon with my yearbook order canceled, my name struck from the record, and a sharp, quiet shame sitting heavy in my chest. I felt invisible, worse than mocked. I had been erased. They didn't just cut out my photo. They buried my self-worth. They made me believe I wasn't even worthy of being remembered. That I didn't deserve to take up space. That beauty, success, and visibility were reserved for people like them. But this moment in the studio, this camera capturing every inch of me they tried to make disappear, this isn't revenge for the spotlight. This is the story of how I dug myself out of that silence, of how I built myself from the ashes of their ridicule, of how I turned their cruelty into a crown and made them watch while I bloomed. I grew up in a small town in Ohio, the kind of place where Friday night football games were sacred and appearances meant everything. I was quiet, bookish, acne-prone, and painfully shy. The kind of girl who sat in the back of class, doodling in the margins, too scared to raise her hand. I didn't have the right hair, the right clothes, the right confidence. I didn't fit. But even in that invisibility, I had a secret love for beauty. Not the kind you're born with, but the kind you build. The kind that takes patience, vision, and care. My parents were good people, hardworking and tired. My dad worked construction. My mom ran the books for a local diner. They put food on the table, kept the lights on, but affection was rare. Emotions weren't something we did. Looks don't matter, my dad always said when he caught me staring too long at the mirror. But at school, looks mattered more than anything. Looks were currency. Looks were status. Looks determined if you got to be seen, or if you were written off entirely. And in that world, the beautiful girls ruled everything. The cheerleaders, the pageant queens, the student council princesses, and at the center of it all was Chelsea Monroe. Long blonde hair, perfect skin, and the kind of sharp confidence that made people laugh even when she was being cruel. She moved through the halls like a movie star, and her circle followed. Tight, exclusive, untouchable. They made sure girls like me stayed invisible. Not mocked, not bullied outright, just asterisk unseen. Asterisk which somehow felt worse. My escape was quiet. Online beauty forums where strangers shared makeup tips and kindness. Late night sketching sessions where I designed outfits I could never afford. I didn't want to be the center of attention. I just wanted to create it. I dreamed of becoming a stylist, a makeup artist, someone who could help others feel seen the way I never was. Jenny was my one close friend. She and I met in freshman art class and bonded over sketchbooks and sarcasm. We were inseparable for a while. She was never fully outside the social system, but with me, she could breathe. At least, that's what I thought. Until senior year, when she started drifting. First, it was sitting at another lunch table. Then it was skipping our sleepovers to go to cheer parties. And then, one day, she stopped answering altogether. Everyone wants to be seen, I say now. But I learned what it means to be deliberately unseen. I applied to colleges out of state. Anywhere that would take me far away from the stares and silences. I wanted out. I wanted to build something real, something beautiful, somewhere new. I had hope, a flicker of it, even after Jenny disappeared. I thought I'd survive the year and never look back. But then the yearbook incident happened. I had done everything right. Submitted my quote, my headshot, followed the deadlines. I even showed up for photo retakes just to be sure. But when the book came out, my name wasn't in the senior section. My photo wasn't anywhere. My quote, gone. I confronted the yearbook committee, shaking, voice barely steady. Chelsea smirked. We didn't have space for everyone, she said. And your look didn't really fit the aesthetic. Her friends laughed, not even hiding it. Be grateful. We're saving you from embarrassment. It was the final blow. I was 17 years old, and I thought my story ended on that blank page. I closed the yearbook and put it away. I stopped sketching, stopped trying. I packed up my dreams with my graduation cap and left town like a ghost. But ghosts have a funny way of coming back. And this time, I was done being invisible. The yearbooks arrived in homeroom on a humid Wednesday morning, handed out with fanfare and laughter, pages flapping as students signed their inside covers. Olivia didn't rush to open hers. A part of her already knew. She felt it in the way Chelsea looked at her when the stack was passed out. Like a joke she hadn't been let in on. But she flipped through the pages anyway, heart thudding. Scanning the seniors section, page after page of grinning faces in navy blue gowns. Names printed in gold, quotes beneath them. She kept looking, then looked again. She wasn't there. Not on her alphabetical page. Not on the last page with the not pictured students. Not even a mention. It was like she never existed at first. She thought it was a mistake. A printing issue. Maybe her submission got lost. So during lunch, with her voice barely steady, she approached the yearbook advisor. Mr. Clemens, in the teacher's lounge. Excuse me, she said, holding her yearbook open. I think there's been an error. I'm not in here. He barely glanced up from his coffee. Maybe a clerical thing, he mumbled. We'll look into it. Behind him, Chelsea and her committee girls were unpacking leftover decorations from the senior awards night. Chelsea turned, smirked like she'd been waiting for this exact moment. Olivia caught the glint in her eye. There was no mistake. That evening, the school auditorium buzzed with flashes and applause as students gathered for the senior awards ceremony. Best dressed, most athletic, most likely to succeed. Chelsea, of course, won best smile. Jenny won best hair, now fully absorbed into Chelsea's glittering orbit. Olivia didn't go inside. She watched from the school parking lot, sitting on the hood of her car as the sun dipped behind the bleachers. Through the auditorium windows, she could see camera flashes burst like fireworks. Cheers and laughter drifted out every time someone opened the doors. After the ceremony, Olivia sat in the dark, watching as groups poured out onto the front lawn, posing for selfies, holding their awards like trophies from a world she was never allowed into. She opened Instagram just to feel worse, and there it was, Jenny's post. A group shot of all the senior girls, arms linked, smiles wide. Our gorgeous senior class. The caption read, "The most beautiful people I know." Olivia wasn't tagged. She wasn't even in the background. That night, something inside her shifted. Not with a scream or a sob, but a hollow, silent snap. The kind of breaking that doesn't make a sound. They didn't just ignore her. They wanted her gone. Like she never mattered. Like she wasn't worthy of memory. She drove home slowly, her phone silent in her lap, and climbed the stairs to her room. Everything felt heavier. Her backpack, her bones, her breath. She pulled a blank sketch pad from her drawer, the one she hadn't touched in months. She sat on the floor beside her bed, cross-legged like she had when she was a kid. Then, with a thick black marker, she wrote across the first page in block letters, asterisk one day, they'll remember this face. Asterisk she stared at those words for a long time. Let them sink in. She didn't know what they meant yet. Not fully. Not how far she'd go. How deep the hurt would push her. Or how much beauty she'd have to claw out of pain. But that moment, that sketch pad, was the spark. She wasn't planning revenge. Not yet. But she had lit the match. College wasn't just a fresh start for Olivia. It was an exodus. The day she arrived in Chicago, the city felt like oxygen. No one knew her name, her past, or what she'd been denied. She cut her hair short, started experimenting with skincare, and embraced anonymity. At first, she stayed invisible out of habit, sitting in the back of classes, avoiding eye contact, skipping parties. She didn't own a single mirror in her dorm room. She deleted every selfie she took. She dated no one. The wound from high school hadn't healed. It had simply scabbed over, and it bled every time she passed a group of laughing girls or saw a camera flash. But slowly, the city softened her. One day, in an introductory design class, a professor noticed the margins of Olivia's notebook, filled with tiny sketches of gowns and makeup looks. "You ever think about editorial styling?" the woman asked. "You've got an eye." Olivia hesitated, then admitted she'd always dreamed of fashion. The professor connected her with a tiny local magazine that needed interns. The hours were brutal. The pay was non-existent, but Olivia showed up every day, steaming clothes, organizing shoot schedules, quietly watching everything. It was there she met Milan. He was a photography student with wild curls and a vintage camera always slung around his neck. He asked if she'd model for a lighting test one afternoon. She laughed, genuinely laughed, and said, I don't photograph well. He tilted his head. That's not true, he said. You've got a haunted look. Like a painting someone couldn't finish. That was the beginning. They spent late nights talking about art and pain and why beauty hurts so much when you chase it. Milan became her first real friend in years. Then her first love. With his encouragement, Olivia began stepping in front of the camera more. At first, just for student projects, moody test shots in empty studios. But the way Milan framed her, soft, raw, aching, it changed something. For the first time, she wasn't trying to look pretty. She just was, and it was enough. Other photographers started asking for her. Small agencies noticed. She got a few gigs. Indie fashion spreads, local brand campaigns. Her portfolio grew, and with it, her confidence. Still, the fashion world was cruel. Olivia heard every insult. Too pale, too sharp, pretty, but not commercial. She faced rejection like clockwork. Agencies ghosted her. Shoots paid late or not at all. Stylists talked about her like she wasn't standing 5 feet away. But she didn't quit. She carried a black Moleskine journal in her bag, where she scribbled down every slight, every criticism, every moment someone tried to make her feel small. I used them like fuel, she says now. Every insult was another spark. Back home, Chelsea's life unfolded predictably. She married a football player turned real estate agent, moved into a beige starter home, became a small-town influencer, the kind who posted "Get Ready With Me" videos in her walk-in closet, selling protein powders and beach wave curlers. Olivia saw her posts sometimes, algorithmically suggested, always perfectly filtered. She still thinks beauty is a clique, Olivia would mutter. I was building an empire. Years passed. Olivia modeled for campaigns that didn't even put her name in the credits. She styled runway looks behind the scenes. She wrote anonymous beauty columns. And then, almost by accident, it happened. Milan snapped a photo of her, a tight, black and white close-up with no makeup, just freckles and grief and strength, and posted it on Instagram with the caption, "This is resilience." It exploded. A high-fashion brand reposted it. Then another. Olivia's follower count surged. Brands began reaching out. Her inbox filled with interview requests. Then came the message from Vogue. They were doing a special issue. Faces of resilience and wanted Olivia to be part of it, not just as a model, as a voice. Her manager asked, "Do you have a story to tell?" Olivia smiled. Not the soft kind, but the kind that's sharpened by years of silence. "Oh," she said, "I have a whole yearbook to rewrite." The Vogue cover dropped on a Tuesday morning, and the internet stopped. It wasn't glossy or overdone. Olivia sat against a muted gray backdrop, hair loose, lips bare, not a hint of contour or correction. The acne scars she once begged the universe to erase were fully visible. Her eyes, soft, steady, almost defiant, stared straight into the lens, and through it, the world. No retouching, no illusion, just her. The caption beneath it read, "Asterisk to ugly for the yearbook, to real for the world to ignore." Asterisk within hours, it went viral. Women and girls across continents shared the image, reposting it with tearful captions. Asterisk, "She looks like me." Asterisk, "This healed something I didn't know was broken." Asterisk, the article inside told Olivia's story, not as a fairy tale, but as a reckoning. The girl who was erased had become the woman the world couldn't stop looking at. Among the flood of DMs, tags, and press requests, One notification froze Olivia cold. A message on Instagram from Chelsea *, wow. You really made it. Proud of you, girl. *, that fake sugar drip tone. The same kind of tone she'd used back in high school. Just before laughing behind Olivia's back. Olivia stared at the message for a moment, watching the little scene check mark appear beside it. And then she did nothing. No reply. No thank you. Just silence. Because some wounds don't deserve closure, only acknowledgement. A week later, Vogue reached out again. They'd been contacted by a Midwest school board, Olivia's old high school. In fact, the principal had seen the article and wanted to invite her to speak. The topic? Resilience. Redefining beauty. It might be healing, her manager said carefully, or triggering. Olivia didn't hesitate. I want to go, she said. The return was surreal. Same faded gymnasium. Same beige auditorium walls. Same uncomfortable plastic seats. Olivia stood backstage as the principal introduced her, reading a glowing bio, as if she hadn't once passed Olivia in the hallway without a glance. She stepped onto the stage in a tailored navy jumpsuit and block heels, elegant and sharp. Behind her, a screen flickered to life, showing the Vogue cover in full. Gasps rippled through the room. And there, in the third row, Chelsea, her hair in a mom bun, baby carrier beside her, arms crossed. Olivia's eyes found hers and didn't look away. She didn't flinch as she began calmly, voice steady but low enough that people leaned in. When I was 17, I was told I wasn't photogenic enough to be remembered. My name wasn't in the yearbook. My picture wasn't printed. Not even a mention under not pictured. Her gaze swept the crowd. Rows of teenagers, teachers, parents. That's the thing about invisibility. It teaches you to become unforgettable. She paused as the slide behind her transitioned. Photos from her journey. Raw shoots. Behind the scenes sketches. Her campaign going viral. She continued. Beauty isn't something you chase. It's something you claim and I claimed mine. The moment I stopped trying to be part of someone else's story and started writing my own. The room was dead silent. No coughs. No whispers. Even the fidgeting had stopped. She closed her speech with one last glance at her younger self. The girl who had sat in this exact room, small and silent. I used to sit back there, she said, pointing, second to last row. I never raised my hand. I thought I had nothing worth saying. Turns out, all I needed was someone to listen. The applause was thunderous. A standing ovation. But Olivia didn't need it. She wasn't there to be praised. She was there to reclaim her name, and every empty space it had once been erased from. After the applause faded and the auditorium emptied, Olivia walked the hallways of her old high school. The same tiled corridors that once swallowed her whole. But now, the air felt different. Students surrounded her, not with stares or judgment, but with awe. Some reached for photos, others just stood quietly, needing something unspoken. A small girl with braces and trembling hands stepped forward and whispered, "They say I'm ugly too." Olivia knelt slightly to meet her eyes, brushing a strand of hair behind the girl's ear. "Then they don't know what real beauty is yet," she said, voice gentle, sure. She wrapped the girl in a hug, and for a second, the years between them vanished. Olivia was holding her younger self, telling her what she had needed to hear. Outside, the sun was beginning to set over the parking lot where Olivia had once cried alone in the dark. Now, there was someone waiting. Jenny, her old friend, the one who'd stopped tagging her, The one who had smiled in every yearbook photo Olivia had been erased from. Jenny stood nervously near the bike rack, eyes rimmed red, a tight clutch on her purse. "I saw the article," she said through tears. "And the speech. I should have said something back then. I should have stood by you." Olivia looked at her, seeing not the betrayer she'd once blamed, but a girl, just like she had been, shaped by fear and silence. "We were kids," Olivia said softly, "but I'm not invisible anymore. And neither are you." They hugged, an embrace that didn't erase the past, but acknowledged it, honored it, and moved through it. Weeks later, Vogue sent Olivia a special package, the first framed print of her cover, mounted in soft gold and glass. She opened it in her apartment, surrounded by her sketches, mood boards, and Polaroids. On the same shelf sat her old high school yearbook, still blank, still missing her name and face. But it no longer stung. She didn't hide it anymore. Instead, she placed the Vogue frame right beside it, side by side. A past she had survived, and a future she had created. "I didn't rewrite history," Olivia said, smiling to herself. "I replaced it." Olivia stands in her studio apartment, framed by soft afternoon light spilling through tall windows. She holds the two objects that shaped her story. In one hand, the high school yearbook where her face was missing, her name absent, her existence denied. In the other, the Vogue magazine that had not only printed her portrait but told her truth to the world. She stares into the camera set up across from her, the same one she uses for interviews, for content, for telling stories that matter. "One tried to erase me," she says, voice low but steady. "The other made me eternal." She turns the yearbook over once in her hand, then gently closes it. There's no bitterness in the gesture, just finality. She slides it into the bottom drawer of her desk, not to hide it, but to put it where it belongs. In the past, a relic, not a wound. Then she turns to the wall. Centered above her sketchboard and vision journal hangs the framed Vogue cover. Her portrait in natural light, her features raw and unedited, her eyes steady, not smiling, not pleading, just fully present, fully her. She steps back, looks at it for a long moment, then nods to herself. There's peace in her face now, not the peace of forgetting, but of owning every version of herself, even the invisible one.